couldn't get the other link to work, so this is a whole new link. So it's gonna take people a minute to come over here
Okay.
because well, I don't know why YouTube is being that way. Because
They just make everything so difficult.
I tried like creating it and just leaving it up for me to go back into instead of scheduling it. It still
Hmm.
wouldn't let anything work. So
The good thing is we don't have to type anything in. That's fun.
yeah. Did you remember to get a link to your channel to put in the chat?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
It's on my clipboard, if you will.
So we got one person on. Say hi when you get on. I'm going to give everybody a couple of minutes to get on here and then we're going to get started. We had technical difficulties again. Hi,
Hey,
Melissa.
Melissa.
Technical difficulties again. I was trying to find a way to like keep the same live on, but it wasn't working. So had to create a new live. So I guess whenever I do the lives, I'll just have to advertise it on my wall. And then me and the guests will just get on here a few minutes ahead of time. And then that's when it'll appear. And then y'all
Yeah.
can be on there. Because I mean, I don't know how else to do it because I was reading about it and it said you had to have some type of program. And I think that's like for a computer. I can't make it work on my phone.
Right. Well, they're not going to make anything work easy on your phone.
No. And I don't have a computer. So I'm not going to go buy a computer
So
just
you
to
can
do
go
live
live, right?
videos. Like I could just do it with my phone.
Well, not only that, I did go buy one of the computers to do streaming, and it's so slow and glitchy that
Yeah.
that's why I don't do go live just on my laptop without having to have 1,000 subscribers because it's so slow and glitchy that it's
Let's
just
see.
annoying. Nobody
Well,
wants
it
to hear
gets
me go,
like that
hit it,
sometime
go,
on the
it,
phones.
you know.
Melissa said I don't have a computer either. Yeah, I mean, not a lot of people do these days. Everybody has a handheld computer, their phone. So
That's true.
I don't really see a point in having a computer.
Hi, Shelly.
Hi, Shelley. We got 22 peeps on, but nobody's saying anything yet, except for Melissa and Shelley. So, I guess we're going to get started because, like I said last week, I'm that person I don't like it when I go on a live and they take 45 minutes to say, hey, this person, hey, that person before they get started. So, tonight we are talking about Reborn Roleplay and how it's not rage bait. Melissa said Shelly and I are chatty people too. Hi, Angie
Hey, Angie.
from Texas. But I mean, like, we've talked about this where there's like these big content creators who are like making content about us. And if you go in some of their comments, like, I've got some of their comments actually like on the thumbnail for this video. And some of their comments, they're saying, they're doing this for rage bait. They're basically accusing us of doing role play to rage bait them to make them upset, as if that's what we would
Because
base
we
what we
have
do
time
on
for
our
that.
podcast. Right. I mean, I know I don't. I do what I want to do for my channel for me
Hmm.
and for my viewers who also enjoy it. So it's definitely not to rage bait some stranger who's not in the community, just to upset them. Like, come on now.
Yeah.
That doesn't even make sense. So, anyways, we are going to get started. And I just want to welcome everyone here. So, just grab a seat, grab a drink. It's going to be a little while. So, welcome to the Dollring Live with Penny, and I've got my partial silicone baby Elio with me today. He is the Artist Proof River by Rochelle Lee Farrell, and he was painted by Sandra Stanley of Dolls by Sandra Stanley Art. And so, I also have my guest Tanya of Sweet Tea's Dolly Cottage with me today. So,
Hey,
before we get
everybody.
started tonight, I want to talk about something that's been coming up more and more lately, and that is the idea that Reborn Roleplay exists to provoke or antagonize people. And so in the comment sections of some of these big YouTubers that are using our hobby for views, you see people saying things like, well, they're just doing that to rage bait. Like we have an intention to stir up controversy or upset others. And so I want to be really clear, but really gentle about this when I say it couldn't be further from the truth. Most of us are not creating anything to antagonize people. We're not doing it for shock value. We're not trying to argue. And
Thank
we're
you.
certainly not trying to make people angry. We're just trying to make calm, innocent, nurturing content for our hobby that brings us comfort, creativity, peace. I mean, role play is about storytelling and imagination and quiet in a loud world. And it's something that isn't for everyone, obviously, but I mean, it's not done with bad intent. So tonight, I wanted to open up a respectful conversation about why role play is so often misunderstood, why it gets labeled as rage bait, and what it actually means to the people who genuinely love role play. So this isn't about arguing with anyone. It's about sharing a perspective, understanding what intent, and we're just going to reclaim that narrative that's being put out there, and we're going to talk about things that bring us joy. So if that's the kind of conversation that you are happy to be part of, then we're happy to have you here. So, Tanya, would you like to tell us just a little bit about yourself? Just as if we've never met you, just let us know everything that you would like us to know.
Well, I am delightful. No, I'm just kidding. Okay.
You are
Um,
delightful.
most days, weather permitting. I have been a dog collector my whole life. I have been in the Reborn community since 2018, 2019. I started painting in 2019 because we stumbled upon my little girl. She's not little anymore, but at the time she was my little bitty girl, and she wanted. We just stumbled upon a silicone video, somebody opening a silicone doll, and we had never seen such a thing. And I was like, oh, I was like, Sassy, come here, look. Look at these because they were begging me wanting a baby brother, baby sister, and at the time I was a widow, so that was not going to be a possibility.
You're like, oh, yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah, yeah. I'm good, but I'm not quite that good. Anyway, and so I was like, golly, I bet because this is how out of nowhere this is in my whole blip on my radar. Um, I was like, I bet these things are like, I don't know, $300 or $400. And so and I think it was one of like Erica's, I think it was either Erica's Babe Nursery or or it could have been Serenity Smith. I don't know, but it was one of the two of them. And I was fascinated, and I was like, wow. And then I found
Yeah.
out how much they cost, and then I was like, wow. And then that led
Silicone
me to
babies draw
vinyl.
people in.
Hmm.
The silicone babies draw people in, and then people are when they realize what they cost, they're like, "Oh,"
You're like,
like,
whoa, mama, yeah. And so then I mean, and I've always been an artsy person. I've always drawn and painted and things like that. Um, but I hadn't really done a lot of that in a long time because I had all these little bitty children, and painting little bitty children in a orderly manner does not go well. So, and she wanted one so bad. So then I started looking up reborn dolls, and I found somebody in my area. Well, I started looking them up, and at the time, like I said, I was a widow. I had three little kids, and I didn't have that kind of money to spend. And I'm just thinking. So I started. Then that kind of led me to seeing the videos and all that, and I was like, I could probably do that. I could do that. And so we saved up, and anyway, the rest is history. And now I have a house full of reborns, and my kids loved them when they were little. They don't want to go out with them now, but they do sometimes, but not so much now because they're 17. But small
yeah.
details like that. And but yeah, I love painting. I don't love rooting, but I do love painting. I'm starting to like rooting a little better, but so let's see what else. Oh, I don't know what else to say about me. The dolls I have with me right now, this baby was painted by my friend Shannon Beard for my birthday. Her name is
Damn.
Layton, my little Layton. And I've got my Maisie, who is my one of my pride and joy. And I'm sure y'all can tell who her artist is. So,
Sweet potato pie nursery.
that's right, Sweet Potato
She
Pie
has a
Nursery.
very special, like, artistry, like, well, every artist does, but it's like you can see one of her babies from a mile away, and you're
Right.
like, "That's Sweet Potato Pie Nursery."
And I was very, very I've been looking for Maisie. How many years, Penny? Years. And
Yeah.
everyone that came around, either there was too much money or it wasn't quite what I was looking for. And then my sweet friend Martha had her, and she kept trying to sell her to me, kept trying to sell her to me, but she was still out of my price range. And finally, she made me a deal I couldn't refuse and let me make payments and sent her in advance. So, how do you say no to that? So,
Like Godfather. She made you an offer you couldn't refuse.
I could not refuse. I'm just like, and she was like, I really want you to
Mm.
have her. And I'm like, well, I really want her, but I don't have the money,
Right.
And so, because as y'all know, doll sales are slow these days. So it isn't like you can just throw a couple of your dolls online to get money to buy a new one. Most of the time,
Oh,
that
my
doesn't work.
dog is blocking the camera. Zeke, please get off the camera, dude. Thank you.
But yeah.
She
So
said she
anyway,
said our
that's
babies
that's
are
how I
cute.
came into reborns, and I've been hooked ever since. And I have a baby clothes problem, like we all do. So
It's
there,
addictive.
it is crazy, stupid, addictive. And then you think back to, okay, let's see, 10 years ago, would I've ever even thought about paying $100 for a doll, much less what we pay for
Wait,
them now?
much
It's
less hundreds.
hundreds, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah, true, so true. So tonight, I wanna talk about, like, setting the tone and what role play means to you personally, um, why Reborn role play exists. I mean, mainly it's to bring things like comfort, it's to have creativity, it's to have imaginative storytelling, and so this content is not created to provoke anger, like, it's created to bring peace, and Zeke has me to where I'm not even hardly in the frame anymore. It's created to bring the creator and the people who like to watch with the creator, it brings you peace, it's joyful, it's something fun. Melissa said, "Mine is a binky problem." Right. Did you see my video today? I got, like, a whole bag full of binkies. I'm like, "I gotta give some of these away." So, I wanna do as usual, I wanna start out asking questions. So, for my chat people, hello, Alberto. I would like to ask you guys, what originally drew you to Reborn roleplay content, if you like it? So, what drew you to it, and what made you like it? And then for Tanya, your question is, what does role play mean personally to you?
well, I mean, I like to do the outing videos. That's my favorite kind of role play. I don't do a whole lot of, or they're playing in the kitchen or they're playing in the thing. I really enjoy that because, for one, it gives you a chance to actually give your dolls a character and a personality. But it's also a chance for those of us who have grown up kids now to revisit a really sweet time. You know what I mean? That
Mhm.
you may have been so busy that you didn't get to enjoy as much as you can
Right.
now. And you don't have to deal with fussy babies and dirty diapers and all of that stuff. You get to do all the fun stuff without all the work. And, we love taking, I mean, I don't know anybody that doesn't like taking pictures of their kids. And that's
Right.
my favorite part is the photography. As far as in addition to just having the dolls, it's the posing them and taking pictures. I love it,
I agree.
and thinking up things to get them to do, you know? And some of them work pretty good and some of them don't, but it's fun to try it. I mean, it's a lot of work to set it up because you have all these Penny and I both have a notebook that we keep all these ideas that I'm going to do this for a video, and then you start trying to gather everything. You're like, no, probably not. Or it'll start raining, or something will happen
Mhm.
where there's going to be people here, or there's going, you know what I mean? It's always
We'll get
that kind of
together
stuff.
and say, "We're gonna do this, 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 and this," and then we maybe do half of it, if that.
Right, right. Or you're like, oh wait, that's not going to work at all. But it was it was nice in theory.
"Hey,
But
Nikki," she said to everyone.
hey, Nikki, hey, Aunt Nikki.
So Melissa said, "I just love the stories and the imagination and the backstory too." Yeah, like, when people give their dolls character, like, it makes not only the collector themselves connect with the doll, but the people watching the collector, and
Right.
they connect with the doll and the channel as a whole, you know? So, anybody else? I guess no one else wanted to answer the question. So, another question I have for the chat is, how would you describe role play in one word? Just one word. What would you say about role play? And so, for Tanya, I would like to ask, when you first discovered Reborn role play, what drew you to it? Like, was it anything in particular? Or was it, I think you kind of answered it in the first, like, what does role play mean to you? But could you go into more detail about, like, was there anything specific that you saw where you was like, "Oh my gosh, I love this."
Um, my first channel that I fell head over heels in love with, and we talked about this last week on your live, was Montenegro's Baby with Amanda. And she loved Emmy so much that I had to get a Tori by Ping Lao because I had to have an Emmy. And I loved watching her just do things with her, you know? And it amazed me, honestly, to see how she just did it so fluidly and how much joy she got out of it. And I was thinking, this
Yeah.
could be a whole lot of fun. This could really be a whole lot of fun. And nothing kind of rattled her when she would take her out, her and her husband, they would be out shopping like every weekend. I was like, man, I want to be your reborn doll. You know, they were at the mall
You
all the
take
time,
all
you
the
know?
places, I remember that, just
Yeah,
outings
I mean, and
galore.
she didn't have any problem answering questions. She let people come up to her. And it was
Mhm.
just I liked her gentle nature, and I really, 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 really missed her channel, and I really missed her. And Amanda,
Me
if for
too.
some reason somebody knows Amanda Montenegro, please tell her that we miss her and to come do
We miss her. She
just
the
throw us a bone. Let
champion.
us see Emmy. Just do a quick video just to let us know you're okay and how life's
Didn't she
treating
take
you.
the whole thing down? Like, the whole channel's gone now?
Is it?
Is it? That's what I was asking, isn't it?
I don't
Or
think
did she just
so.
take her videos down?
Um, at one point there were some gone, and then I haven't checked in a while. I haven't checked. I know I watched some
Yeah.
of it last year because I was like, I need to go visit my Emmy, you know. But I I mean, like I said, I haven't heard anything. I asked Stephanie, and all I got out of her was I haven't talked to Amanda in years. So, and they were like buddy buddy. So I don't know what happened, or not trying to get into all that, but I was just concerned, because she was a very big presence when I first came along.
Right, yeah, I mean, she just suddenly just stopped making videos, and then you didn't hear from her anymore.
Yep, she and Suzanne's Babies was another one because Suzanne used to do story time, and I'm sure everybody knows who Suzanne is, but if you don't, she's an older lady in the UK, and I could listen to her talk all day long. and I had had surgery back then.
A very
And so
kind voice, and it's very soothing.
yeah, and I would lay there in my bed as I was recovering, um, with one of my babies. I only had 1 or 2 at the time, and I would listen to her, just listen to her, and I just thought that was just so cool. Now for some reason, YouTube doesn't like for you to do story time. They like copyright you or something. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? For reading a book that you can go get at a public library. You're not saying I wrote this book. They're just
Right,
reading
you're
it.
just sharing the book. It's no different to me than going to the library and having the book read to you,
Yeah, I mean
you
exactly. I
know?
mean, what's the big deal? But whatever. I don't get the whole copyright strike either anyway because anybody can get
None
their
of it
hands
makes
on
sense.
anything and most people know that you did not write any of the Journey songs or perform them on this channel. You know what I
Right?
mean? Give me a
We just
break.
like it. Well, I mean, that's the good thing about shorts, though. You can take yeah, videos with songs and put it on your shorts, and it doesn't count as a copyright as long as it's in the shorts list and they allow it to be used as a short.
Right.
So
But I mean, if it's
you
in the
can do
shorts
that.
list, then why can't you use it on, you know what I mean? It's just so silly. The whole
Yeah,
thing's
it
just
doesn't make any sense because it's not the whole song. So Shelly said storytelling. Nikki said creative. And then Melissa said, I just love the stories and the imagination. Oh, I already read that one. And then Nikki says, also sweet. And then Shelly says, I enjoy a variety of YouTube doll channels. The role play ones are fun to watch, gives me good ideas for photo shoots and storytelling. Yeah, that's like the best part of role play that a lot of people don't understand. You're not just getting up there willy-nilly, like, when I do role play, I will, like, plan out the little scenario of everything that I'm gonna do, and, and you're wanting to get the lighting where it matches what you're doing, and, you're telling a story, so it's not just a willy-nilly thing, like, it's actually planned out, and not a lot of people realize that.
look at Eliel's face. He was like
Yeah.
he was looking down at Leighton, like giving her kind of like the look like, what are you doing down there? And she's like, hey,
Like everybody on the Brady Bunch where they look at each
right,
other
right.
in little squares.
Hi.
So, Tanya, do you think people often assume intent without understanding the creator?
Oh,
Like when it comes to
absolutely.
role play?
Hmm. Yeah, I think they do because everybody's always looking for the negative of something. There's got to be a reason bad that somebody's doing something instead
Right.
of just because I felt like it. You know what I mean? Here's
And
another
apparently
one.
it's to make them mad. We do it to make them mad,
Yeah, we
and
make them mad and
it's
we make
great
them
debate.
exactly. And we are trying to deplete any and all services and products that are related to real babies so that there's a shortage.
Exactly, because we don't care about real babies at all.
Right, right,
We
right.
just want to have fake babies, and we
We
don't
just
care if
want
we take
all of
cold
their
formula.
stuff. We just want all of their stuff. That's what it is.
Here's the
Because
thing, when somebody goes into a store for an outing and they're doing it for, like, role play purposes, and they walk up to a shelf and they get a can of formula off the shelf and put it in their buggy, Mhm. then they can hit the off switch and put that can of formula right back on the shelf. Just because you see them put it in their buggy does not mean they're buying it. It's role play. It's to make it look believable, but it's
mhm,
not really happening.
right. And just like all those stupid shows that my bonus kids like to watch on YouTube, sorry, um, that are doing like all these stunts that you know that they're not doing. They're not really running 150 miles through the jungle. They're
No.
not. It's all, as Penny's favorite phrase, smoke and mirrors, people. It's smoke
It's
and
smoking.
mirrors. You
It's a
know,
stage.
every time I'm
It's
trying to
no
get a doll
different
to stand up,
from
I hear you go,
Hollywood.
smoke and mirrors, Tanya, smoke and mirrors.
Smoke and mirrors, that's all you gotta have is smoke and mirrors. You just have to make it look believable. It
Right.
doesn't
It
have
doesn't
to
have to
actually
be.
be
Exactly.
true, it just has to look true. That's the joy of role play and
Well,
being
because if that were
realistic.
not the case, we would nobody would ever have a television show or a video of any kind because most of that is
Exactly.
not true. It's smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, it's acting, like Shelley said, it's acting. And
I
she said it
mean,
takes time and planning to create role play and storytelling for videos and photos. And then Melissa said, I need to learn how to relax and take really good pictures of my doll Ryder.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, I
silicone baby dolls were developed for the film industry to begin with. Bridget
mhm.
Jones' Diary was one of the first ones to use a silicone baby because it's about time. Because aren't we all sick of looking at little stiff baby dolls wrapped in a blanket that
Right,
are,
with their arms all like
16
this,
inches?
and they're trying to
Right.
pass it off as
Yeah.
real.
Yeah. And you're just kind of like, I mean, it's about time that they use, I think before then they were using almost like, kind of like the Reggie body type things that just they didn't have a face or anything. It was just like a beanbag kind of shaped
Yeah,
thing that
and
they
they had it
started.
wrapped in a blanket all the
Yeah,
time or
but at least
something.
that looked more than the little straight stiff baby wrapped
Right?
in a yellow blanket. Right.
They used to do that on Bewitched all the
I was
time.
I was just thinking of that, Bewitched. Yep, I was just thinking of that. You're
It
like,
just
bless it, she hasn't grown, and then you see her and she's 3.
right. It's like from one season to the next, she was a baby and now she's 3 years old.
Right,
So much
exactly.
time has passed. So, I guess we can move on to the next section. So let me look at my notes up here. Yeah, because y'all, I do have notes stuck up here. I told y'all that last week.
I do not have any notes.
I
So,
keep mine stuck up here just to keep me on track, so I don't, because I'm bad to go on little tangents and all that. So I try to
uh-uh.
keep myself focused, right? I mean, not me.
Look, I'm so
So
infatuated with this baby's I love her hands. I'm so infatuated with her hands.
she does have really pretty hands. So let's talk about what rage bait actually is. So rage bait is like an intentional provocation of someone. And rage bait is designed, like its intent is to upset people, it's to trigger arguments, it's to generate clicks through outrage, like where someone just sees it and goes, what is this? And then they click on it because it looks so outrageous to them. They've got to know about it. That's rage bait. You're intentionally making someone mad by what you're saying and what you're doing. And so most reborn creators, they aren't trying to shock anybody. They aren't asking for controversy. Like when I get on here and share Eliel or any of my dolls in a role play, I'm not doing it because I'm like, I wonder who I can make mad tonight. Wonder who outside of the reborn hobby might click on this video and get so ticked off about it. Like one of the little things that I have on the cover photo for the thumbnail is a person that said, they're just doing this. They said they're doing this to PISS people off. I don't want to say it because I don't want to get like demonetized or whatever. But that was one of the things, the comments that I highlighted that was on an actual video. Like all of these comments came off of videos of big time YouTubers making content about us for clicks and views, basically. And then another person said, why can't we Baker Act these people? And if you're not familiar with the Baker Act, that's when you like get in touch with um psychiatric, or like there's like an intervention where you intervene with someone and you feel that they need to be Baker acted. That's like the name of the act. I guess it's named after whoever the person that came up with it, last name Baker, apparently. But that is
It
where
would pick
like
me. I know somebody named
that is where you can like yes, I know. That is where you take people and you have them evaluated as like an
And
intervention
you
type
have to
kind
be
of
a
people.
direct family member to even do
Yeah,
that. You know what I
and
mean? That's
I'm
one of the
like,
things. It has to be a yeah. It's
and
a
I'm like, why would you want to Baker act somebody over a hobby? Like that doesn't even make sense.
why are you watching it if it bothers you that much?
Exactly.
Roll
All we're
on.
doing is sharing because we simply want to share joy. And so we add in, I mean, this is a comfort hobby. So why not?
Up there.
It makes sense that if you're going to share in a comfort hobby and you're going to do role play, then you share in comfort role playing. Like you're showing doing different things with the baby and you're comforting them or you're caring for them or whatever. And it's all role play. Favorite quote, smoke and mirrors. It's just made to look real. Um, Shelly said, I love photography and creating scenes that tells a story. I enjoy making reels in IG and Facebook. Yeah, me too. Storytelling is one of the main things that I think all of us like that who love to role play. And then Tori said, most of us don't do role play for rage bait, but there are a handful of people, mostly on TikTok, who do create content over the top with dolls to rage bait and admit to it. Then they think we all do it. Right. That's what I'm saying. Most of us don't do that. And so, for them to get on there and say, well, they're only doing that to make us mad. I'm sorry, but my hobby is for me. It's not to make anybody mad. And so it's not anything that we plan ahead. You know what I mean? Like I don't have other people on my content, my role play content. I do things that I am drawn to and that I know that my audience will also be drawn to because that's why they follow my channel. They like the same thing I do. So, I mean, I kind of do content for them, but at the same time, I first and foremost, I do it for myself. Hi, Veronica's Little Lamb Nursery. Thank you. So, I guess for everybody in the chat, I want to ask y'all. And Tori said, they think we do it to make them mad. And we shouldn't give us attention if that's what they think that we want.
Right.
Exactly. Well, that's what
Negative
one of the
attention.
comments
Right.
that's what one of the comments said. I actually screenshotted it and I have it on the thumbnail. It said, y'all are just giving them the attention they want. And like, first of all, we are not doing this for the attention of a big YouTuber with millions of subscribers to basically rip us apart and make fun of us and then make their videos and then have all these comments that are just saying whatever it is they're saying, like we need to be committed and all this kind of stuff. I mean, they're right there. And then the content creators just say, well, I didn't say that. Well, maybe you didn't say it directly, but you let your commenters say it and you are responsible for what is in your comments. You
Well,
might
and I
not be
think,
able to control them putting it there, but it's your responsibility to take care of it once it gets put there.
well, and I also think that they're just kind of leeching on. Maybe they can't think of anything else to
Mhm.
do. And they're just like, and they know that for whatever reason, right now, reborn dolls is a hot button topic.
I
Mainly,
know.
and so they're making money off of our backs. You know what I mean? I mean, some of us that aren't even monetized yet, they still can go to your channel and throw you out there. But what they don't realize is that there's really not anything such as bad publicity, because every comment, every click on that brings people to our channel to say whatever they have to say still counts as a feather in our cap. And that's
Mhm.
like what they were tearing Gina apart for. She's laughing all the way to the bank, y'all, all the way to the bank. And I don't think she's sitting in the
Mhm.
corner with penny rollers rolling up her change. She's making big money, big
Mhm.
money. Like the Wall Street Journal published um
And good for her. Like, I'm
yeah,
glad
so
she
you know
is.
that she made $200,000 last year off of YouTube and TikTok.
Yeah, I've heard content creators talk about that, and they're, like, saying it in such a way like, "She made $200,000
She's
on it."
brilliant. I mean,
And I'm like, it's more like she made 200,000 off of this. Good for her. But they're saying it derogatory, like, can you believe she made that kind of money off of that kind of content? Well, she's in tune with her audience. I've said that before. She is in tune with her audience. She makes what she knows that they're wanting to see. That's what every content creator
right,
does.
and she's not for everybody. You know what I mean? Because some of those voices and some of those babies just send me to a place. But good for her. I'm not bashing her. You know,
Right.
whatever whatever's working is
There's
working.
content
You
for
know what I
everybody.
mean?
Yeah.
it's working for her. I mean,
Mhm.
I I applaud her for the bravery that she has because she does not give zero you know what to going out in public and
And
doing
that's
the
the way
whole
it should
spectacle.
be.
She doesn't care.
She
I
does
watched
her,
her
and that's what everybody should do. You do you, boo.
exactly.
You take care. You do you, and you have fun. And the like-minded people are going to be attracted to you, according to what you are doing. As long as you're being genuine and you're having fun and you're doing the things that you know you want to do, you're going to have your people that love you for being you. So that's what
Mhm.
makes it worthwhile. Veronica said they do it for views. Yes, they do. And then Melissa said, I don't understand why people have to be like that. They're just awful. And then she also said, Gina makes me laugh. I watch her channel. Yeah, I mean, there's somebody for everybody. So I just think it's ridiculous how, just like with everything, there's some things where, like, in the media, where they'll just latch onto it and then it just becomes a big thing. It's the same way with all, they'll pick out one or two of us every once in a while and just latch on to us, and that's what they do. They talk about us and they make fun of us, and and then they've got all these people saying all this stuff. Right. If you're not hurting anyone, you do you. Hi, PTX lover. We're doing pretty good. So for the chat, I want you guys to answer, when you hear the term rage bait, what comes to mind? Like, is there anything that comes to mind when you think of rage bait? And I guarantee you it's not going to be a Reborn roleplay video. Or it could if you saw one that was intentionally rage baiting. But for Tanya, how would you personally define rage bait? Like, what would you consider rage bait? In the Reborn hobby, like, what would you say if you were watching a Reborn video? What would you consider rage bait?
That's a good question. Um, the funny thing is I really don't I don't know because nothing really makes me angry as far as anybody's video. I mean, I think if I saw somebody maybe mistreating them, you know what I mean? As far as
Yeah,
like I've seen
mistreating
I've
a
seen
dog
somebody
leg.
yank them up by their arm and I've seen them throw them in the pool and that was a few years ago. I was shocked. I was like, wow, okay. Um Chlorine and
Yeah,
all
Nikki
that
said
stuff.
manhandling the doll.
Yeah. Or when they're rough with them or they're purposely being mean. You know what I mean? And you're just like, "Geez," I think that but the way I mean, I'm one of these people that if I don't like it, I just keep scrolling. I just click off of it and go to something else, They've already gotten my view. If you're there for 30 seconds, you already got your view.
Right.
So and I have to be I mean, I'm a weirdo and depending on what kind of mood I'm in, depends on what rubs me the wrong way. And it's not really that they're doing anything wrong, it's just usually my moods.
Yeah.
Um, there's some people that I watch every video they do, or I try to watch every video. I mean, we all can't watch every single video every single
Mhm.
day, but and then there's some that you drop in and they have some good ones and then sometimes they don't and we all are hit and miss. I had somebody tell me the other day, "Lady, you're so boring. I couldn't watch more than 45 seconds." And I said, "Well, thanks. All I needed was 30." You know.
Right. Quality review, thanks.
I mean, and they weren't even in the community. There was some kind of I
So,
don't
like,
know.
would you say that you think that rage bait would require some harmful intent? Because
I
I
would
would
think,
think
yeah, it
so.
would have to be an intentional kind of hatefully abusive, mistreating or whatever
Yeah, like
because
going at like having a live strictly about one content creator and just talking about everything they do. That's rage bait. You're getting people to come after this person, and you want everything, to be like, to me, that's rage bait. I don't see role play as any kind of rage bait like that.
right,
I just don't see it as that. Rage bait to me is when you are trying to incite um
anger.
hatred and anger toward
Mhm.
a person or a group. And Veronica, you are exactly right. She said it's a new term for me, but it sounds like they are doing a reaction video on a Reborn channel, basically inciting a riot. So the people who are accusing us of rage bait are actually the ones that are doing the rage baiting. The ones these content creators that's making their videos about us, in my opinion, they're the rage baiters because they're the ones getting their group of people, all their commenters to say all of these hateful things. And then these people seek us out. I have people come on my channel all the time that I have to delete their comments because they're not collectors and they come on and they say all of these hateful things. And I'm just like, you know what? Delete because I just block them from my channel. And then Tori said, I think the satire videos are just pure rage bait. Yeah, I don't like satire either. Um, it's to me, it's a fine line because when it comes to satire, then it has to be understood and accepted by the person that the satire is aimed against. So, satire, like I said, that's just a fine line. I don't like satire at all because it can cross the line very quickly. And then Shelley said doing it to get reactions, mainly negative reactions. Yeah, and then Nikki says, "Let's say having a prototype doll held by the ankle or even destroying it, I would be like, whoa." Yeah, that would be like inciting rage from artists and, well, collectors alike, but if you've got a certain artist doll and you just destroy it on camera, then you are purposely poking at that artist, you're trying to incite rage. That's rage bait. That's actual
Mhm.
rage bait. Not seeing someone in a role play. And then I saw someone say, seeing someone purchase formula. But I did talk about that earlier. Even if you see a video that people are purchasing formula, they're probably not even really getting it. And here's why. Because I can go into a store right now on this live. I could take y'all with me, go in Walmart, put 5 or 6 cans of formula in my buggy, show it on camera, then put the camera back on me, put the cans back on the shelf. You didn't see it. I didn't actually buy it. I did it as a role play. So I feel like that a lot of those people, they're not really buying that stuff.
Formula's
And
almost $40 a can, y'all. Who's gonna buy a
no, that's the
buggy?
thing. Like they're like, look at that. They're buying all that formula, and real babies are having to do without. People are not buying 10 cans of formula. They're not doing it. They don't have the money for that. They use the store as a stage and they go in and they put the formula in their buggy, they show it in their buggy, and then they end that segment of the video and they take it out and put it away. I've done it myself, not with formula, but like role plays in the past, I would be like clothes shopping. And so maybe you're doing a role play where your doll outgrew their clothes and you didn't buy all those clothes, but you have a bunch in your buggy. It's just part of the role play. It's acting. That's what it is. So that is that's the way I see it
And the
anyway.
whole formula thing, I could understand people getting upset if, in fact, and this would be rage baiting, if there were still a formula shortage like there was.
Right.
You know
But
what I
there's
mean? Where people are scrounging trying to get formula. I mean, I have a friend who had a little boy who has autism, and he would only drink the toddler formula, the vanilla flavored, what I can't even remember what it was. I searched high and low. I went on Amazon. I went to people around here and mailed it to Florida because the child would not. I mean, most kids will eat when they get hungry. They get hungry enough, they'll eat what you got. Well, he didn't. He wouldn't. I mean, he was going for days without eating anything of substance. Chicken in a basket, crackers, and formula is what he would eat. And
right.
so that would make me mad, knowing that there is a shortage, but there's not a shortage, and most of us don't even use real formula anyway. Um, and if you do, it's expired. But most of it, again, smoke and mirrors. It's fabric softener. It's,
Right. That's why I don't
it's
use
coffee
formula
made
cans anymore. I
stuff,
don't do
yeah.
that. I used to keep the empty cans that my grandson would use, and then I would put my fake coffee creamer formula in the can, and people would still and I even explained what it was, and people would still get on there and say, "How dare you feed your doll real formula when there's real babies?" And I'm like, "This is coffee creamer. I've said this over and over." So I
Or
don't
how
even
about that
use
time
the
you made
cans
that stuff
anymore.
that you chopped all up and it took you like a
Yeah,
2-day process? I don't remember what all that mess was, but
yeah,
it was an
that
ordeal.
that was before I discovered the coffee creamer, and it didn't work as well anyway. You had to keep shaking it back up. It would settle to the bottom because it had, like, I don't remember what it had in it, like baking soda or something.
Yeah, I don't remember either, but she would, like,
Nikki said,
toast
"Or
it and
use
dry
the
it and
old
chop it
formula,
and
no longer edible." Yeah, I mean, if it's expired, real babies can't use it anyway, and so some reborn collectors use that, but like I said, it doesn't even matter. You can get on there and explain until you're blue in the face. They're gonna see that formula can and they're gonna say, "You use real formula." I'm gonna hold my fabric softener on the screen and show it, and then they're gonna see it in the bottle later in the video and be like, "I can't believe you just wasted that formula. It's fabric softener. Do
Well,
you
you know,
not pay attention?"
the other day I was at Kroger and they had this big cart full of stuff that they were trying to get rid of. And they had little, Christmas candy and stuff like for 31 cents. Well, guess what? They also had some of those little tea thin wafer things that dissolve, they're those little rice husk things for 63 cents. Did I buy that box of 63 cents rice husks? Yes, I did. And will I be using them in my videos? Yes, I will, because it was 63 cents and they're going out of date. You know what I mean? That's why they're getting rid of it. And in the whole grand scheme of things, it's my 63 cents. It's
We're
my
not
whole
making a beautiful
63
place for us to
cents or
shop.
$1.63 or whatever it was. I mean, I wouldn't
Nobody
even
goes
sit
by
into
coffee
my
for a little bit.
granddaughter. They're, yeah.
So yeah, it's like they entitle themselves to an opinion about what we're doing with our money anyways. Tori said people don't listen, they think that reality is whatever thought pops into their head. Some people will always believe we are using formula no matter what. Yeah, I could literally take the coffee creamer can and pour it straight into I use just the generic little plastic formula things that you can get at Walmart. That I got like a white colored one, but you can get them in different colors. I think you have some, Tori. I think I saw them on your channel. I have like a cream, like an off-white colored one, but I just use that kind of stuff now because I feel like when people see the can that says Similac or whatever on it, they just automatically assume it's real, no matter how much I try to explain it's not real. So I don't seem to be getting the flack like I did when I used real empty cans and had my, coffee creamer or fake formula in there.
Remember that video you did with, was it with Archer or was it with Skylar? And people lost their minds. Where you were feeding him in the high chair?
Yes, I put baby food on his face, and this woman got on there and she said, "I am an artist, and you are defacing your artist art." And she was like, "If I was your artist, I wouldn't sell another doll to you." And I was like, "Well, you're not my artist, and my artist knows that I do this. She knows I role play, and she doesn't have a problem with this." So, and I even showed that to the artist of Skylar, the
It was Skylar. Okay, I wasn't
reborn
sure if it
Skylar.
was Skylar or Archer. Yeah.
And yeah, it was Skylar, and I showed it to her, and I said, "Look what this person said." And she goes, "Oh my gosh." She said, "First of all, as an artist, when you pay me to make something, it's yours from the start. You are paying for it. It's always yours. And then once it leaves my hands and goes to yours, it's paid for. It's yours. You can do what you want with it." And she was like, "I know they look like real children, but they're not. They're objects and they become the property of the person who owns them. So you can't tell owners what to do with their stuff." She was like, "I wouldn't even dare try to tell a collector what they can and can't do with a doll that I made or that they got from me." She said, "Of course, if they were to mess it up, it would make me sad, but I still can't tell them what to do with it." And I was like, "Yeah, that's exactly right." So I guess let's move on to section 3. I want to talk about why we think role play triggers some people. And so I just think we need to normalize our reactions without validating cruelty. Like there's ways for us to do that without it hurting our feelings, or whatever, because a lot of times that's what they want. And so during this section, I want to talk about like nurturing and softness and just emotional expression, because that's what we do a lot of times with these dolls. It's an emotional expression because this is a soft, gentle hobby. And so everyone who's in the chat, so I want you to just think about your own experience of what you see when you are seeing other collectors interact with their dolls. Right, Nikki said, "It's your money." And then Tori said, "Because childlike hobbies and childlike imagination is frowned upon." Yep, it is. It's supposed to have an expiration date, and it does not. Like I mentioned that at the beginning of the video, creativity does not have an expiration date. You don't have to stop being creative just because you hit a certain chronological age. Nikki said, "People can't get their mind around older women playing with dolls and showing care thinking they're real." Right. It's like if we show care toward our dolls, if I respect this piece of artwork and I handle it correctly, then I think it's real, and I'm delusional. That's what they say. And then PTX Lover said, "People judge us for buying diapers for our reborn dolls. I know that. Miles, my Liam, isn't real, but I use Miles to calm me with anxiety and autism. So I buy diapers to make Miles feel real. And that's your business. That's your money. It's not like you're buying a pack a week. I mean, a pack of reborn diapers will last a long time." And then Nikki says, "For me, role play is a beautiful display of showing love for the art and what we love." I think so too. That's exactly how I feel about it. So I guess we can talk about what the difference is between people saying this isn't for me or this shouldn't exist, because there is a difference. Like you can say this isn't for me. There's things about the reborn hobby that I see and I go, that's not for me. But it's for those people who are doing it. So who am I to say it shouldn't exist? Just like, they're just like they think that this hobby just shouldn't exist. Like we should just go on with ourselves somewhere. And that's just not so. So um for the chat, have you ever been judged for your hobby that brings you comfort? Like, has anybody ever judged you for it because you said it brought you comfort? And then for you, Tanya, why do you think nurturing content can sometimes make people feel uncomfortable? It does. It makes people feel uncomfortable.
And I don't know why that would, but it's kind of the same concept of why people have a hard time when little boys are little and they like to play and they have a doll that they like. You know what I mean? Because they're thinking it's not supposed to be so. They're not supposed to do that. I'm not sure who says you're not supposed to do that, but you're not supposed to do that. And kind of like the only time I ever get any negative comments, like when I take a doll out, it has only been like when we're out, like say at an arts and crafts show, and some lady will come and they'll see the baby and they're like, "Oh, can I go? Can I go show my husband?" And they will try to fool him thinking that it's a real baby. And then when he finds out that it's not because he gets duped, he's embarrassed and it makes him mad and he says something kind of snotty. You know what I mean? But and maybe that's the bottom line is that people don't like being fooled. They don't understand it. They don't understand why you would hold a baby, carry a baby around in a
Yeah,
carrier.
so them saying you care for it and love on it, at first they're like,
Mm,
"Aw," and then
mhm.
when they see it's not real,
They're like,
I
"Oh, why?"
think
Yeah.
I have an opinion about that. I think a lot of times people think that once you get a certain age that, you don't need comfort items, and that never stops for you as a human being, like and the people that don't like us having these dolls as, like, because this is a comfort hobby. This
Mhm.
not only comforts us, but people who share in the hobby with us. And so for them, it's like we're supposed to be grown. They're under this confusion, I guess you could say, that grown people do not deserve to be comforted. Like we're just supposed to have it together. We're not supposed to ever need comforting. It falls under that same category with like men aren't supposed to cry. Of course, men can cry. They have emotions just like women.
Mhm.
Men can cry and still be a man. And so I think my opinion is it kind of falls under that category. Like you're only supposed to be comforted while you're a child, and then once you grow up, no more comfort for you. You're supposed to just self-soothe. But in a way, I guess this is kind of
This
self-soothing.
I was gonna say, I
It's
mean,
fun.
how many of y'all that when you've had a really, really, really one of those days, when you've had a day and you come home and then you're still having some kind of a day, and when everything calms down, you have a go-to baby, and it's usually like a little sleeper that's weighted a
Mhm.
little heavy or whatever, and you just go scoop them up and go sit with them, either with them laying on your shoulder or laying in your arms or laying on your chest, and it takes about 3 or 4 minutes, and all of a sudden you feel your stress just go away because you get that dopamine boost or that oxytocin or whatever it is. That mom I call it the mommy hormone, you know what I mean? Because there's nothing sweeter than holding a sleeping baby. There's nothing more peaceful than holding a sleeping baby, and it's the weight, it's the feel, How many of y'all how many times have you handed your baby to somebody who's not been around a reborn, and they start to sway and pat
Mhm. Rock.
because it
And
is
then
an
they catch
automatic
themselves and go,
and then they catch themselves and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm like patting and rocking." And you're
"Mhm,
like, "Welcome, now you're now officially a reborn
now you
person."
know."
Mhm.
Well, what do you think, like so when people see our comfort and these dolls make them experience discomfort because maybe of how real they look or how we're handling them or whatever. So do you think people confuse their own personal discomfort with something being wrong? Because I that's what I feel like they do. It's like because it makes them uncomfortable, it must be wrong. But my discomfort doesn't have anything to do with whether something's right or wrong. It just means it's not for me. It makes me uncomfortable, but that doesn't make it wrong. So do you think that people confuse that? They confuse their personal discomfort with
It
something
could
being
be, and
wrong?
it could be. I mean, people grow up all different kinds of which ways, and it could be some kind of childhood trauma they have. It could be the way they were talked to. Maybe they weren't comforted as a child. You know what I mean? And it makes them feel like maybe they don't even realize that it makes them feel like how can somebody love on a doll like that, but nobody could love on me like that. You know what I mean? It could be
Right.
something as simple or as complicated as that. Because we
True.
don't know. We don't kids take a lot of abuse and a lot of neglect and all over the world, but here where things are plentiful, still they go through a lot. And so you just don't ever know what goes on behind closed doors, and that leaves a scar,
They
you
said that
know?
about us. They said that about us in one of the videos. There was a comment. I don't know if I screenshot it or not. Or I might have, but I don't think I put it on the cover photo. It said, "Man, you just don't know what be going on behind people's closed doors," talking about the reborn, like us having
Right.
reborn.
Well,
I'm
and I
like, "Dang,
know
they
they
said it
all
about
think that,
us."
we do this because we either because we lost the baby, and a lot of us do. I mean, one of the reasons that or infertility, that's another reason. All of my kids are
Mhm.
adopted. I did lose a baby. Do you
But they
know how
go under
much
the
it would have
pretense
meant to
that that's
me to have
why they were created, and I'm like, "No, they were created because people wanted more realistic dolls.
right,
Collectors want more realistic dolls. They are great therapeutic tools, but they weren't created for that. Like, they were not created to be a therapeutic tool, even though they are." Tori said, "People hate what they don't understand." And then Nikki said, "Yep." And then Veronica said, "Yes, the brain can't tell the difference between the doll and the real baby." Yeah, because they're weighted and everything, and they
mhm,
smell good. We put the baby cologne on them, and you just get the whole package. Nikki said, "People don't realize that we actually hold and handle them delicately because they are. So some look weird if we say you have to hold the baby's head, be gentle. They're not cheap." Right. I mean, why would you take your expensive piece of art? Just say it's a painting, which that wasn't expensive. I got that from Goodwill. But would I take that painting and go sling it across the floor and treat it badly? No, I'm going to handle it the way it needs to be handled for it to keep its beauty. And that's the same way I'm going to do my doll. And people just have this idea that if you handle your stuff correctly, that something is going on with you. Like, would they do that? Would they take their expensive something, whatever they bought, and just throw it around and mishandle it? Absolutely, they would not. So, Tanya, why do you think softness is often mocked online? Like, I feel like this is a very soft, gentle hobby, and it gets mocked all the time.
because people associate softness and gentleness with weakness.
But yet, that's what they want for
Right,
themselves. Like,
right.
they're all up in a tizzy if they think someone is mistreating them in any kind of way, but yet they will come at people who are soft and gentle. Like, you can't have it both ways.
But everybody wants it both ways. I mean, it really kind of, it drives me nuts sometimes when I see people just being mean, just to be mean. And especially when what's even worse though to me, other than people that aren't in the hobby, is the people that are in the hobby and they start mean girling a certain YouTuber, or they start mean girling a certain artist,
Yeah.
or they start, you know what I mean? They start that whole pack mentality, and they're real brave because they have two or three or four people in their little mean girl tribe walking down the hallway in high school. You know what I mean? That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah.
And these days, people respond more to hateful stuff than they do to nice things. And I don't know why. I don't know if it's just the way of the world. I don't know if
Mhm.
we've all just been so desensitized
I think
by everything coming at us, you know what I mean, all the time. I mean, was it me and you that were talking about the scariest movie when we were kids growing up was like The Shining? You know what I mean?
the
And
one
now look at
about
what our kids watch.
about
And I mean,
Poltergeist, I said I watched it back and was like, "This is not even scary."
I know, or like the Poltergeist 2 with that old guy, that used to freak me out. But,
Yeah.
it still kind of freaks me out. When I see somebody that kind of looks like him or sounds like him, I'm like, because that really did scare me. But I don't it's amazing cuz you can't keep your kids in the bubble anymore. You can't, because not unless you keep them in their room and you have access to everything that can come across their phone, computer, whatever. Unless you have the time to sit there and do that, and they never go anywhere, and they don't have any friends that are going to send them anything, and you know what I mean? Because
Right.
I tried when my kids were little, I tried to keep them Disney-ish kids, little kid stuff, and they'd go spend the night with somebody, and they let them watch,
You can't watch them
The
in those places.
Conjuring or something, and I'm like, "What?"
Right.
You know what I mean? I didn't let my kids watch rated R movies, you know? So,
Corey said people have to learn how to process the information coming in their eyes and ears. Too many. see the dolls, have the uncanny valley effect, and then they just lose it, or uncanny valley feeling. No processing. Yeah, they don't even give it time to just kind of register with their brain that this looks real, but it's not real, and it's a harmless hobby. And then Nikki said, "This is the worst I've ever heard from a person not in the hobby. Be careful with your child around them, they might steal them." Oh, I
Oh,
remember you
good
telling me that.
lord.
So someone said that because Nikki collects dolls, they told another person to be careful with their child around her because she might steal their child.
I like the ones that say,
Because
"Why don't
we
you
have dolls.
adopt?" And go, "I did."
Right. Be like, "I
3
did
times.
that."
Right, 3 times.
And
Well,
Nikki
we
said,
have
"Yeah,
5
the whole
between
mom
the 2
freaked
of
me
us,
out
we have
too."
5 kids from the ages of 25 down to 9. So, yeah, I'm good. Everybody goes, "Are you yeah, do you want more kids?" "No. No. There is
I don't
no
know
room at the
why
end." Huh?
so many people wanna confuse a hobby with a responsibility because they're not the same. A
No.
hobby is leisure time.
And you know what? I can sit with her like this, and then I can go sit her over there on that trunk and not touch her again for 2 months, and she does not care.
Right. I mean, it's there for your leisure, for when you want to enjoy your hobby. Melissa said, "That's awful." Yeah, to accuse somebody's gonna steal your child just because they have reborn dolls, that makes no sense. They don't even understand how that sounds. And so I guess we can move on to the next, like, role play as creativity and storytelling. I wanna talk about that, like, role play is just an imaginative outlet. It's an artistic one at that. Like I was saying, it takes planning and just in knowing how to do different camera angles and lighting, and I like to edit and put sounds in and all that, and you have to know how to do all those things, so it is an art form. And so role play is just a form of acting like we've already talked about. It's storytelling, it's imagining. I mean, if you ever lose your imagination, I don't care how old you are, if you stop being imaginative, then can you imagine how boring your life would be? And to me, it's no different if we sit here and we play with our dolls and we have these little stories that we tell and we do these little role plays. To me, it's no different from someone playing The Sims or someone writing a fictional book. Nobody
Fantasy
tells
football,
fictional
don't even get me started.
nobody tells authors, "You need to go have your head examined because you know that is not true what you put in that book." They know it. They made it up. They're being
Right.
creative. And it's the same as, like, cosplay where people go to Comic-Con and they dress up as Vulcans and, and stuff like that. They know they're not really a Vulcan either. They're just being
Right.
creative and imaginative, you know?
Tori,
And
I've been watching your channel since you were a little girl. I'm echoing. Um, and still in my mind, it seems like it blows my mind that you have kids. It does because you're frozen in time in my brain when I hear Tori. I still think that you're a teen. You know what I mean? It blows my mind
yeah,
sometimes when you
they
start
they
talking
don't
about your
realize that all
kids.
the years have went by and she's a grown woman with children now, you know?
Exactly, because I guess because we don't see her all the time, we just have little snippets, you know what I mean? Kinda like
Yeah.
Kelly Maple, she's been on since she was a little girl too, you know what I mean? And now she's grown. It's just crazy because 'cause we're old, we're in our 50s, and trust me, that comes real quick. Because yesterday I was 36, now I'm 57, and it's not funny.
Yeah, Tori said, "When I had my first child, a few people said, 'You're done collecting those dolls now, right? You don't need them anymore because you're a mom.'" We don't have the dolls because of that. Like, I mean, I'm sure there's some people that like to collect them that don't have children of their own, I'm not saying that, but I have grandchildren now, you know what I mean? Like, and
Right,
I
right,
enjoy my grandbabies and I love them, but I still enjoy my dolls. That's my hobby,
right.
you know? But yeah, I can imagine them saying that. Veronica said, "I never thought to compare role play to writing a book. Yeah, it's the same thing, writing a book, acting in a movie, anything like that. Nobody questions Hollywood actors.
Doing a
Nobody,
play, right. Mhm.
nobody says, nobody was saying Ariana Grande, she must really think she's a witch. You know what I mean? Like nobody said that. They know she's playing a role, and that's what we do when we do role playing. That's why it's called role playing. You're playing a role. Veronica said, "My kids don't understand my hobby yet. They play Dungeons and Dragons or Magic. Same thing. If you're going to play Dungeons and Dragons, that is like one of the biggest role play games ever."
That was
And Nikki
really
said,
big when I was
"Exactly."
in high school. We had a
Yeah, me
whole
too.
little sect of guys, especially guys,
We never
and
got
they
into
walked
it, but I
around in
knew
the
people
big
who did.
robes and the furry boots, leather moccasin boots with poor little dead rabbits to them, and they would go to the Renaissance Festival. I mean, they would go and have these battles, and I mean, it wasn't just the
Yeah.
board game. They would go and really, they had spears and the chain thingies and the yeah, because and they were like a whole like little subculture in high school when I was
You
growing
let
up.
us walk out somewhere with a doll and a stroller, and oh my lord, we need to be Baker acted according to that one comment.
Oh, right.
Why can't we Baker act these people? That's what it said. I was like, really?
But the funny thing is, when you are out with a doll in a stroller and somebody kind of looks at you sideways, and if they are come say anything to you or you say anything to them, once you go, "Do you wanna hold them?" and you let them hold them, they change the whole thing changes. The whole thing
Mhm.
changes because 'cause they're like, "Oh my gosh, it feels like a real baby. Da 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 da
Yeah.
da da da. Where do I get one?" How many times have they asked us, "Penny, where do you get one?
Where do we get
Where I can't
one?
what's the
Do you have
website
the
where I
card?
can
Do
get
you have a
one?"
phone number? Do you have a da 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 da? Yeah.
Right. "Is that one for sale?" "No."
Yep. People dress in wild fashion in public, play Pokemon Go, etc., and nobody bats an eye. Exactly, Tori. So I guess I need to get to my questions. We can sit here and chat about this all day. So everybody in the chat, um, what is the most creative thing that you enjoy in this hobby? What would you consider a thing that you do that you feel is the most creative and the most enjoyable? Am I echoing?
No.
Am I echoing to y'all
No.
in the chat?
Oh,
Because I sure don't want to be echoing. I can hear an echo on myself.
well, mine was doing that a little bit. It was because I think I was talking too loud. I don't know, but it stopped. Oh,
Yes.
everybody's saying yes.
Why? Every time. Tori said tiny echo, but not bad. Okay, hopefully it'll pass. YouTube's been having this because it's not me. I'm doing everything that I know to do to avoid an echo, and it still happens every time. Um, so I ask y'all's question. So with you, Tanya, how do you view Reborn Roleplay as a creative outlet? Like what helps you to view it as a creative outlet, and why do you think doll related hobbies are judged more harshly than like gaming and cosplay and stuff?
Well, I think gaming and cosplay is more mainstream because more influential people have endorsed it. Cosplay because they're dressing up like people, like actual actors, characters, whatever, and they're not using dolls. You know what I mean? They don't understand that the doll just because the dolls aren't a famous whatever, you know what I mean? Just because every reborn doesn't look like a baby Shirley Temple or you know what I'm saying? Something like that. I think that might have something to do with it. In you know, as
So
for
do you think creativity gets boxed into acceptable versus
Yeah,
unacceptable.
I think so. I think so. Because I mean, it's almost like they treat reborns as like an abstract art form. Like, back in the day when like in the 80s, I guess, when everybody started doing all that abstract art and people would be like, well, they just picked up a piece of paintbrush and just slung some paint on it and they're selling in the gallery for da 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 da. And
Right.
there was
Yeah.
that, you know what I mean? I think it's the kind of the same mentality because they don't understand that somebody else might see that and they just love it. It's still sticking around because I've got the my little 1986 American Girl over there, and what do they have on Courtney's clothes? The triangle, the circle, the rectangle, and the with the paint splatters and all that. That design is still around. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah.
So, but as far as for myself, for creativity, like one of my favorite things to do, and one of my favorite videos I've ever done, one was the pool party. That was a whole lot of fun when I had them all out at the pool, and
Yeah.
and Spencer got his little boat, and he got to get in the boat. I actually found a boat, an inflatable boat that had a bottom to it, so he wasn't going to get wet. And I had people freaking out thinking that they were going to get wet. And then I had some laying out there, on a big old fluffy pallet, you know what I mean, sitting with their little sunglasses and all that. That was a whole lot of fun. That and like just taking them out to the swing set that we have outside. I mean, we don't have as many swings on it anymore because they've slowly just fallen apart. But taking Bennett, that video I did with Bennett, and then showed that he was like climbing up the side of the rock, that little walkway wall, and he was sitting down there playing with the trucks at the bottom of the slide and stuff like that because it's just sweet, you know what I mean? And everybody liked it. I mean, those videos get more likes and more views that and that or if you say full body silicone, you know what I mean? People like to watch those. But it's
Silicone
just
baby.
yeah, it's just fun. Or when I took all of my masterpiece dolls out and and they were playing at the playhouse and the little slide. That was a whole lot of fun because you can just kind of because they look like little 3 and 4 year olds out there just having themselves a good old time. It's just little
Yeah.
quick little snippets of joy. You know what I mean?
I remember that. So Veronica says yes. Uh, oh no, that was to be about the echo. Tori said my favorite creative thing to do for my role play videos is making stop motion animations. Yeah, me too. I need to get better at that, but I love it. She said it all boils down to culture, what's seen as normal and what's not. Yeah, but it seems like the whole world's culture is to say that that our hobby is not normal.
Right.
Seems to be everybody's view.
But then we're also living this world that we're supposed to accept anybody and everybody else's everything, but they're
Yeah, you
sweating a
accept
bunch of
them, but they can't
dolls.
accept you.
Right, but they can't they're sweating dolls. You know what I mean? And I mean, people take American Girl dolls out and do pictures with them, but see, they don't catch the flack because the American Girl dolls are not realistic. They don't fool anybody to think that they got an itty bitty tiny little 9-year old in their bag. You know what I mean? And I think it was what it boils down to is that it fools them and nobody and they take it some people take it as an insult. You know how some people can dish it out, but they can't take it. They can joke around and kind of pick at people. But if you're a person like me who can turn it right back around and throw it right back at them,
They don't get
they don't care for that. Mostly men don't like that. Most of my brother-in-laws don't like me because they like to pick at people and that's what they've always done. And then when I can just like pitch it right back without it even
yep.
flinching, they can't it makes them so mad. And it does nothing but delight me to no end because I don't care. You know what I mean? I really don't.
Yeah. So,
So
like,
I don't do
another
it to
thing
be mean. I'm just trying to play. You know what I mean? I can dish it out, but I can take it too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Another thing I think that a lot of the people don't realize is how emotionally comforting and healing that these dolls can be. Like, there's benefits to any type of hobby you have, not just dolls, any hobby, that's what it's for. Any hobby is for stress relief, it's for emotional regulation, it's for comfort during loneliness or grief periods, but it doesn't replace a real relationship. You know what I mean? Like, no
Right.
one says that about any other hobby except this one. Like, they'll be like, "Oh, well, I hope that they, are paying their real family attention," you know? And y'all, I'm still hearing myself echo. I know y'all are too. I don't know why this keeps happening every
You're
single
really
time.
not
I don't
echoing
know.
bad on this side. I mean,
Yeah, but I hear it, and when you hear an echo, the chat hears it.
oh,
So, like,
okay.
if I don't hear an echo, but you do, the chat is hearing it too. And same thing with me, like, if I hear an echo, the chat hears it. I don't know, that's the way it's been. I mean, it seems to be kinda straightened up a little now. Do Are y'all hearing an echo now? Tori said, "I love it when people leave nasty comments, and I hand it right back to them. They're shocked." Yeah, because they think they can just come onto your channel and say whatever they want, and you're just supposed to smile and take it and be like, "Okay." Like, us
Because they're
content
keyboard
creators are just supposed
cowgirls.
to
Yeah.
be doormats, but we're not.
Yep. They're keyboard cowgirls. Everybody's all brave when they're behind a screen. Things they would never say to your face if they saw you out and about. You know what I mean? They would never say that kind of stuff to you. But
Okay, so I
but
also wanna be more good. So to the chat, do you think people underestimate how healing hobbies can be? And why do you think emotional comfort is often minimized or mocked? Like, y'all can let me know in the chat why y'all think that. And um, to Tanya, do you think adults are allowed enough space to self-soothe? I think we kind of already touched on that, but
no, not really. I mean, if adults were allowed to self-soothe and we had more people that were given the would, self-medication be going on as much? You know what I mean? It
right,
wouldn't. That's how most adults learn to that's what their idea of is numbing themselves. If they had more tools in their proverbial toolbox to know what they need and how to what this would make them feel better. I mean, weighted blankets do a lot of the same thing that reborns do. You know what I mean? It's the weight,
yeah,
you know. When when I lost my little boy, he was only 11 days old. Do you know what would if I had known about reborns then, how much that would have helped to have
right,
that right, empty arms are the worst thing in the whole world, and anytime that I know someone or anyone that's close to me has someone that loses a child or loses a pregnancy, I don't ask the people because you don't wanna be a weirdo, but there's many, many times I make them a reborn to give them something to hold on to, even if it's just something to
yeah,
hold and rock and cry on. I make them one. You know what I mean? And as a gift. I mean, there's two people right now that as soon as they tell me that they think that they would want one, I'm already going to make them one. I've already offered because, you know, they've had infant loss. Like, I'm not even sure how far, I don't like one of the people, she was my she was my kid's second grade teacher. Well, her daughter lost their grandson. I mean, and I don't know if he was stillborn. I don't know if it was in utero. I mean, she was way far along because they did the gender reveal in August. and it just happened. So I'm not sure what happened, and I'm not gonna ask questions because that's
You can
horrible.
bump the camera.
But I have,
Big detective is over here, like, getting all up in the business.
I sent a thing because she knows I make the dolls, and I said, "If you think that it would make her feel better, you just let me
Um,
know, and I will make one." And I was like, "And I can make it awake because most of them don't want them sleeping." I mean, my Stanley Oliver, he went to a lady, that was a friend of my cousin's that had a baby that had Down syndrome, and he never opened his eyes. He would only lived a few minutes. And when I found out about it, I asked her, and I just something just I mean, God speaks to you, and he just said, because he made me feel better because my little boy had Down syndrome, and so it was time for him to go help somebody else, and it did. You know what I mean? We all stood around bawling like idiots, but but it did help her, give her something to hold on to, and she wanted it to be, and she was happy that he was awake. She goes, "I never got to see him awake."
yeah,
So I mean, and some people don't. Some people it's too much. They don't want anything. I've got a friend I went to high school with. Her daughter was 22 and she took her own life not too long ago. And so I reached out to her brother last week and I asked him if he thought his sister would, would want a favorite age, little person of Natalie. You know what I mean? To give her somebody to help because she's having a hard time. And
yeah,
I think for me, because I've been there, the hardest thing was empty arms. The hardest thing. And I probably would have been that whacked out woman that walked around. I lived in Brunswick at the time. That walked around Brunswick, Georgia with a baby doll, but I wouldn't have cared because it would have helped me so much because I was just sad, you know?
yeah,
Every time you hear a baby cry, every time you go in a grocery store, you know what I mean? It's just like in your face, in your face, in your face. And it would help to have something to help you cope. You know what I mean? It really would have.
right. Yeah, and people need to understand that. But see, here's the thing. We'll move on to our next topic, and it kinda ties in with what you just said. We can reject the criticism without giving it power, and so we can stay calm and dignified, and we can understand that not all content is meant for everyone, like, not everybody's gonna like your content, but you don't owe explanations for your joy, and you can also set healthy boundaries, like with blocking or having them to where they can't comment on your channel anymore. I mean, I don't know how many people I've had to hide from my channel, and that is just setting a boundary, and that's okay because you don't you don't have to over explain. You can explain something if you want to, but if you're just like, you know what, I'm tired of talking about this, like that was me in the formula. I just started hitting block from channel, block from channel, block from channel every time somebody said something because I had explained it over and over. I had made videos over and over,
Mhm.
and I was tired of doing it. Nikki said, yes, comfort is a natural high and it releases endorphins. Veronica says, I think that's a good point. Easier to bully someone when you're not face to face. And then Melissa said, Tanya, you're right. I wish I had known about reborns then in 1992. So, for everybody in the chat, how do you handle negativity online? If somebody's coming at you negatively about your dolls, and do you think creators are pressured to justify their hobbies because we're out there? Do you feel it's if you are not a content creator and you come on and support us by watching and commenting, do you feel it's a little easier for you because you're not a content creator and that's a little harder for us? So just let me know that in the chat. And for Tanya, how do you personally handle negative or judgmental comments? And what advice would you give new creators that are afraid to take their dolls out, like role play publicly? Like, I'll do a role play video and take my doll out doing a role play. And so I'm not afraid to do that. But what advice would you give to somebody that may be?
when now there have been times where there are some days that you do feel a little not as brave. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I don't just take them out anytime I want to and whatever. And I rarely take them into a restaurant because one, I don't want them to smell like food. But um the what I tell people a lot of times in the groups and stuff that are like, oh, I want to take mine so bad, but I'm scared to. First of all, start out easy. Take a small sleeping baby. Take them in these little baby sling the little baby slings that we get them off Amazon. They're the puppy slings and they're like $12. And I take it to the doll show. I hang it on the back of the car seat because it can hold a baby. You don't got to worry about a real car seat. I took one to the movies with me last week. We went to see Avatar and I took Nevaeh by Cassie Brace with me in there.
Yeah.
And nobody paid any attention. You know what I mean? Nobody paid any attention to me. I didn't take her out, and I didn't take her to get attention. If I was going to take her to get attention, then I would have been holding her. You know what I mean? And had her
Yeah.
out and made a production.
You can go
Or I
out and
take
do role plays and stuff without anybody even knowing that that's what you're doing.
Right, and like I've taken Spencer to Walmart. We used to take Spencer everywhere. We don't hardly go anywhere anymore, but he does get to go, and I mean, my husband has no problem putting him in the umbrella stroller and strolling him down the boardwalk at St. Simon's Island. You know what I mean? Not like
Yeah.
we acted like it was the most normal thing in the whole world. And some of the people will give you the side eye, but most of the time they're waiting for him to move because he's the Mila sculpt for y'all that don't know who Spencer is. And he is our ATV and safety ambassador. We lost a young man that was really near and dear to our heart in an ATV accident, and we have these bracelets that we wear and we give out, and it says "Strap in for Spencer," and that's why at the end of my channel, all my videos, I always say, "And as always, strap in for Spencer," because if he'd had his harnesses on, chances are he would still be here, And instead, he lost his life at 23. So, um, but most of the time, people will stop me because they are waiting for him to move, to blink or whatever, because he's got that big old grin on his face. He's in every parade that we ride in our little town. And there'll be people know who he is because we live in an itty bitty little town. We have a red light. But the people that don't know who he is, they'll go, look at that baby smiling. And I'll put his little hand up like this where it looks like he's waving, you know, and we'll be in the side by side, and people just
Yeah.
have a fit over him. So, um, we just act like it's a normal thing and don't worry about it. And if somebody said, the
Yeah,
ones that give us the most
if
snickers,
you treat it as part of a normal day, then there's not much they can say, but if if you start to feel ashamed, they're gonna pick up on that,
yeah, you're gonna give
and
out that energy. Yeah.
it's gonna make it twice as noticeable, so you're actually gonna draw attention to
Then you're gonna
yourself.
start sweating. Yeah.
Yeah,
The hardest
I'm gonna
ones
read some
the ones that
comments.
have the most to say are those little cliques of little teenage girls. You know what I mean? They'll start giggling sometimes in the store, but
Mhm.
nobody else does. I've never had like grown people. The men will either kind of go, "Oh my gosh, that is creepy." Now, when somebody says your baby is creepy, I used to get so offended, but you need to take creepy as a compliment because that means that fooled them. They are so realistic that it fooled them that it is not a real baby. So
Yeah,
I don't think they mean that it's creepy like, "Ooh, that just crawled out of the grave." No. They're just like it's just unbelievable to them that it's not real. They're so
yeah,
realistic because we
yeah,
could get so used to seeing them that we forget how really realistic these babies are, and out in the world, people don't there are people that don't even know about them.
yeah. That's true. Veronica said, "I remember miscarrying a child. I had to have a DNC, so I was kept overnight, and hearing babies cry from the other rooms hurt so bad." Well, I'm first of all, I'm so sorry. that you went through that because I know that was horrible. And, and there's a lot of reborn collectors who have experienced that. I never did, but there are a lot of reborn collectors who have.
Mhm.
And this hobby is great for people who experience that. And so to have someone to pretty much just coin everybody as, we're all, we need mental health or we need an intervention or whatever. That would be like saying people who like therapy tools a hobby could very much be used as a therapy tool. But therapy tools are just as important as other tools. Like to me, having a therapy tool is as important as taking your blood pressure medication or taking your diabetes medication. Like nobody is going to be coming after someone for using their health tool. So mental health is also part of your health. So I just, when people do that, I just don't understand why they do that. Tori said eventually you become a pro at hiding your dolls in public if you don't want attention. Yeah, like Tanya said, you've got them in a sling. They're right up on you. Maybe you take a sleeping baby out where it just looks like you have a sleeping baby. I mean, there's definitely ways to do that. And
I
then
mean,
Melissa
even
said,
in a big old
turtle throat.
stroller, if you take a big, even if you take a big baby back out, get some of the little clips and clip a blanket up if you're not ready to be for them to be
Yeah.
seen. You don't have to
Dude,
show everybody who's in there. Now, there's always going to be somebody that's going to walk up to you and go, because I took my Laura out one day to the mall and I had just gotten her, and that's when I had her as a girl. Now I have her as a boy. And I had her all dutied up, and we were going to Children's Place. And sure as anything, here comes the salesperson. Oh, how old is she? And you're kind of like deer in the headlights. And I'm thinking, okay, do I lie and just go, oh, she's 8 weeks old, and just go about your business? Or do you? So I did tell them that I was like, well, she's a reborn, and blah blah blah, and I have a YouTube channel and I bring her out to do videos and pictures, and I'm also a reborn artist and blah blah blah.
yeah.
And I think it's easier to take babies out when you're a reborn artist because it's advertising.
Yeah, people
And
look at
people
it like,
will
oh,
look
she's
at it
so
as
cool. Look over
advertising.
dog.
Yeah. And I do have a shirt that I had made, but it was one of those homemade kind of things, so the stuff's peeling off of it. I need to get a couple of shirts made. And I told my husband that I was like, I need to get some merch so that when I'm out and about and if I decide to take a whole wagon full of them out and we're not at a craft event, because most people around here know when because I used to set up at all the craft things. Um, they will know that I realize that these are not real children. You want to be uncomfortable? Penny, tell them about when you were here visiting and we took Truly to the ice cream store.
Yeah. I was all like over here with my doll, like having all this fun. And Tanya was like, I was over here acting like it was fun, but I was really thinking, man, this is so much work.
I was like, this really kind of sucks because I am
And
so
she said,
self
I kept
conscious.
telling myself, this is fun. I'm
This
having
is
fun.
fun. We're having a good time. Let's take her picture. Oh, good. No, nobody's looking at me like I'm some kind of nut because Truly is my um
She's a big doll.
Gabriella. Yeah, and she's the size of a 5-year-old. And if y'all have never been around one of the big dolls, that half
Nikki
of
took
their leg is
Tennessee to
cloth.
Kroger. She said, I took Tennessee Dream to Kroger in a stroller, and one lady kept walking back and forth. I cried laughing. Tennessee is my Angelica sculpt. So a lady was like walking back and forth trying to like look and see what was going on in the stroller.
But then when you're trying to get them out of the car, you're having to pick them up like they're a quadriplegic child. You know what I mean? Because they got all these legs that go this way and that way. And so that made it a little more
Hi, Colleen.
odd. You know what I mean?
Some
It was
messages
just
tell us
really
to
odd because I
read.
don't take Truly out very much. And I was trying to just have a good old time, but woo, it was a lot. It's a lot to take the big ones out, and I mean it's okay. Like if Penny would have had her big girl, And I had my big girl, like her and Nikki do, and they both have their big girls, and they got their strollers, and they're booking it through the park, and they're just having a good old time, and they don't care. But when you're like in a really closed in environment, like in an ice cream store, this ice cream place is a place like you
It's
hang out.
small.
There's like a little arcade, and they've got a little
For
candy store. I
rubber
mean,
children.
it's a place where people cluster, and so people
Right.
keep looking at you like, you remember that teenage boy who kept walking by like, "What in the world?" I was just
Tammy
like,
Tammy said, "My husband calls them our rubber children."
"Rubber children."
So y'all, I've been really having a lot of fun. I need to cut this in this because it's at 1:40, but I just want to have like a closing statement and tell you guys that um I want you to feel as a reborn collector, I want you to feel confident and united and affirmed in this hobby because you have other collectors like me, like Tanya, like so many in the chat that we are united here with you. And that I want you to understand that role play is not rage bait. So don't think that you have to walk on pins and needles and be careful about how you show what you do. I mean, I do believe in responsible role play, don't get me wrong, but it's not rage bait and it's not harmful and it's not shameful. There may be a few creators who choose to be rage baiters. Good night, Tori. I'm glad you enjoyed it
Good night.
and
Thanks for coming on,
thanks for
Tori.
stopping by. But yeah, I just want y'all to understand, you don't have to feel ashamed. And this is something that's personal to you. It's creative, it's comforting. And if it brings you peace and it hurts no one, then it's valid. And you do not have to explain it to anyone. So, it's for you. So, I mean, I've often like wondered like, oh my gosh, what do people do when they have their dolls and they have to like hide them away or like they can't be as open. Like I'm so open with my doll collecting and all that with my husband, my family, my friends. And so I often wondered about people that have to feel like they have to hide their dolls away and all that. And so I went into the hobby just being open about it, and that's the way I've always been. So I feel like that's the best way to approach it and the best way to go about it, and just let people know this is something that I enjoy. So, I just wanted to, say that before we close. I got my closing notes up here. So, as we start to wrap up tonight, I just want to leave you with this. Like I said, role play is not rage bait. It's not meant to provoke. It's not something that needs to even be justified. It's just simple, calming, and it brings us comfort and creativity in the hobby. And it's our little quiet space in a sometimes very loud world. So something can exist for you without needing approval, without needing to be understood by everyone else, and without trying to over explain that it's okay, we're not doing anything wrong because we're not, and we don't have to keep explaining. So you do what feels safe and meaningful to you, and it's valid, and you don't owe an explanation for the things that bring you peace. You just don't. You don't owe any kind of explanation for that. So don't be ashamed. Be creative, use your imagination, and just remember that creativeness doesn't have an expiration date. So thank you all for being here and for showing up and listening with an open heart. And thank you for being yourself. And this community is built on people like you and me and Tanya, like all of us, we're full of kindness and acceptance. And we just want to share in the hobby together. And that's what it's all about. So the outsiders that keep saying all these things about us, um, we just have to keep proving that it's not true, but we don't have to over explain. By
Right. And
proving
you
it,
don't
all
have
we
to
have to
get
do is live it.
defensive.
All
Yeah.
we gotta do is enjoy our hobby. So, it doesn't have to be complicated. But thank y'all for being here. I enjoyed having y'all all here tonight, And thank you, Tanya, for being on here. I enjoyed having you.
Thank you for having me. And if y'all aren't subscribed, could y'all trot over to my channel, Sweet Teas Dolly Cottage? I am trying to build my channel so I can get to 1,000 subscribers so I can go live on my phone too.
Yeah.
And I was
So
going to
y'all
try to
give
pin it in
Tanya's
here, but I don't know
channel
how to do it.
a sub if you haven't done so already. And she's got some pretty babies that she shows all the time. And like I said, she's trying to get to 1,000. So she wants to do her live videos and maybe she can get 4,000 watch hours and all that kind of good stuff.
And it's a struggle because I'm very jealous of these people that have gone, I've only had a channel for a year and a half and I have 4,500 subscribers. You're just like,
No, it took me
hush.
forever. And even when I did get past 1,000, it took me forever to get the 4,000 watch hours. Forever.
Yeah.
But anyways, y'all have a good night. And until next time, I hope you end this day with a smile on your face and love in your heart. Bye.
Good night, everybody.